Valiant Hearts: The Great War is one of the most human and sensitive games about war ever released. Set during World War I, the game is more about the personal struggles of its characters than it is about the larger historical details and political realities of the devastating conflict. The game takes a few small missteps, but it successfully couches grim truths in a tale with endearing characters, gorgeous art, and moments of jubilance and adventure, making its tale about how war destroys lives accessible and even appealing to players of all ages, while still giving the war's tremendous human cost the acknowledgement it deserves. The game begins by making it clear that this isn't a simple tale of good versus evil. Karl is a German citizen living in France with his wife and newborn son, but as the war breaks out, he is forcibly separated from his family and sent back to Germany, where he must join the war effort. Meanwhile, his father-in-law, Emile, is conscripted into the French forces. Neither of them are motivated to enlist or fight. Rather, as is so often the case in war, they are ordinary people who are swept up in conflicts beyond their control. Over the course of the game, you play as both Emile and Karl, as well as a Belgian nurse named Anna and an American soldier named Freddy. These characters aren't traditional action heroes. The older Emile, for instance, has to scramble and struggle a bit to hoist himself over obstacles. And instead of running and gunning their way through the game's side-scrolling stages, characters solve a series of environmental puzzles to proceed. These puzzles are just challenging enough to be engaging and satisfying without being so difficult as to interfere with the story's momentum. You do occasionally have to clobber an unsuspecting enemy soldier from behind, and you may blast a few planes out of the sky in one late-game scene, people rather than attacking them. In this game, you're not a killing machine. The war itself is. Charging into battle like seeing soldiers on both sides fall in droves to artillery blasts and machine gun fire. It's not all grimness and death, thankfully. There are scenes of beauty, too, like a sequence that takes place on a starry night in Paris, just as the war is beginning. Here you play as the headstrong and capable Anna, do whatever she can to help people during the war. After performing some quick automotive repairs, you drive down the city's bustling streets in a joyous scene during which you avoid cars and other obstacles in keeping with the music. Beautiful moments like this keep the tone of the game from falling into monotony and make the devastation of the game's grimmer scenes more impactful. Not long after you leave the beauty of Paris behind, you're in the Belgian town of Ypres, where the sky is filled not with shimmering stars, but with toxic gas. Reinforcing the fact that lives on one side aren't worth more or less than lives on the other, Anna rushes to assist any injured soul she comes across, no matter the uniform he might be wearing. Though the mechanics are simple, Valiant Hearts admirably puts you in a wonderful variety of situations, having you do everything from cooking a meal for a high-ranking officer to fighting a boss battle against a Zeppelin using a pipe organ as your weapon. No matter what you're doing, the game's art style pulls you in. There are always wonderful details in the background to give the scenarios life, and the designs of the characters, with their eyes charmingly obscured by their hair, endear you to their struggles. The game's storytelling isn't as cohesive as it should be. For instance, there's a jarring disconnect between the French accented voice we hear Emile use during gameplay and the British accented voice that speaks for him during between-level cutscenes.
War has taken away a very dear friend.
And on multiple occasions, the game leads you to think that a dire fate has befallen one or more characters, only to reveal, like the bad resolution of a TV cliffhanger, that this wasn't the case. But these are minor blemishes on a beautiful game that ultimately doesn't shy away from the fact that great is just about the last thing any war should be called.
high-precision cannon firing enabled Freddy and his regiment to reach the rear line unharmed.